Hello, everyone, and welcome back to IndieQuest, the celebration of the indie and obscure. I am one of your hosts, Captain Drachma, and I am joined today, as always, by the wonderful Josh Leslie. Hear that, Alex? I can say it first go. How are you doing?
Oh, dude, it's been awesome couple of weeks. I think that I get really re-energized in the summer because the sun's out, obviously, and then it's like in video game Christmas, you get all the announcements and everything. And we kind of had a couple of off years because of the pandemic and things like that. We had some stuff get announced, but I feel like this year it's like, this is E3 again, even though E3 doesn't exist, So it was so cool to just have all these awesome announcements and just be really excited for video games. And I just beat Jedi Survivor and I was blown away. And yeah, it was awesome. I was surprised at how good it was, So every game I played this year, I feel like it's been wow, this game is awesome. This game is awesome. So I'm just really hyped up on games this year in general.
Yeah.
How about you?
I agree to a certain extent. I feel like a lot of the stuff that has come out to this point this year is not as maybe up my alley as what's coming later, especially in the indie sphere. Sea of Stars is coming. Although I will say, I'm not going to spoil it here. I am playing a game from 2023, and I knew that we were, doing kind of an offshoot episode as we do sometimes, or we're doing that this time, where we're not going to talk about a specific game we played. We're not going to log anything onto the quest log. So I decided to take this opportunity to play a longer game, and I have been completely hooked. The only hint I'll give is that it came out this year, but I enjoy it immensely. I don't know if I'm going to bring it to the quest log next time, or who knows, right? But it's been really fun so far. So I'm glad that we're kind of having this episode, so I have an opportunity to play a long game or a longer game.
Yeah, I was just let's kind of just have a nice kick back, kick our feet up, and talk about if you look at how many games got announced, I think I lost count at 500 or something. For all the different I don't even know, Future Games Showcase, Wholesome Games, Devolver Digital, Day of the Devs. It just goes on and on. There's just so much games to try to parse through and see is any of this even worth looking or wishlisting or being excited for. And there's a lot in there, but it's there's no way you're gonna play all these games anyway, so it's you kind of have to be selective. It's just hard to parse through everything. So I thought it would be fun to sit down and just pick some picks from all of this huge pool of games, just kind of pick some out and have a little conversation about them. So yeah, that's what I decided to pitch to you for the episode, was to just grab some various games that kind of caught our interest, kind of shed some light on some indies that maybe people in the audience haven't heard of, because like I said, there's just so much, maybe not chuff, but there's just so much out there to kind of try to sort through. So hopefully we bring a good variety here and you guys have some stuff you can add to your wish list.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the few that I brought. I think I certainly varied from, I guess, all my typical stuff, but at the same time, I think that everything I brought is different enough from each other, so it's not oh, hey, I brought the same game 5 times or whatever. So should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, let's do this. So I guess I'll go ahead and kick it off here with a game called Kibu, and it's by Studio Inky Fox. They brought They made Omno, that game that I think Steve brought, or did you bring Omno?
Oh yeah,
you did, right?
No,
I
brought it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So they made Omno. They're doing some type of cozy game. This was actually on the Wholesome Games little thing they did, the little presentation where they bring a bunch of farming and simulation games. But you play as a really cute looking fox character, and you build a temple, brew delicious teas, and journey into the wild, seeking out ancient spirits. Carve out your own special corner of home in a beautiful, mysterious land. So take that art style, make it somehow even more painterly, I would say. Yeah. And add some crafting and a storyline that you're going to go through with that art style and that engine that they built in Omno. And I just thought that would be something to behold as a video game.
It is an absolutely incredible looking game. Like it is, like Omno is really impressive to look at as well, but is mostly much darker shades. This is like there's greens and bright oranges and just very, very pretty looking. So I don't even know how the game plays necessarily, but I'm kind of hooked just based on the graphics alone.
Yeah, it's like you have a base and you can garden and do things like Stardew Valley or like Harvest Moon esque, but you can also go out and like adventure, do some hack and slash gameplay. And I think it's just kind of like one of those things. You go out, you collect materials, fight some monsters, kind of get a little bit of the like story. I feel like it's kind of experiential storytelling where you're kind of going out and experiencing little moments in the environment, and I think it's going to be kind of one of those where you can just live in it for a while. So it just really ticked a lot of boxes. I wish listed it like right away when I saw it. So looks really good to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for that one to come out. But I will pivot into the first game that I found very interesting, and that is a little game called Beastieball.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically like the weirdest mashup combination of genres that I've honestly ever seen. It seems like it's almost like a monster collector a la Pokemon, and I don't think I've ever really talked about it on IndieQuest, but I am a pretty massive Pokemon fan. Honestly, I've been playing the Pokemon games since I was 9, 7. I don't know, when they first came out over here, right? I was probably 8, 9. And ever since, I've been hooked. I'm a big fan of Digimon too. So any game that you can play that has like a monster collecting aspect, I am all in on. And then for this game, it's also got that twist of like also being a sports adjacent game where you're kind of playing this variation between volleyball and tennis is what it looks like to me from the couple trailers I saw. So I am like all in. And it also looks like you have a chance to evolve your monsters. So yeah, I am all in on this one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's the same studio that made Wandersong and Chicory. So if you guys are like if you like either one of those games and like their creativity and their style, like I feel like they're the type of studio who are like, this is an idea. We're going to do this idea and we're going to make it like our own thing with our own unique art style. And every one of those games have a different art style. So I think it's just the team with a ton of talent making that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the next game you have here?
Well, I do have another game. I just wanted to mention, if you like Pokemon, there is an indie game that came out recently called Cassette Beast that you should look into. I think you would like it because it's very Pokemon-esque.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard of it, I would check that out. But
yeah, I know that game looks really cool too.
Yeah, just when you said Pokemon, I was like, oh, if he hasn't heard of that, maybe I should mention it real quick. The first game I have here, or the second game, is Everdeep Aurora. And you play as a cat. It's very cool looking art style. I would say, think Game Boy Color when they colorize Game Boy Color games, like old Game Boy games. And so you have like blue hues and yellow hues, and it's very blocky and chunky looking. And from what I can tell about the game is you are kind of like exploring labyrinthian areas underneath like castles and like churches and cities and things like that, and mostly it's just puzzle platforming, and then you have a narrative element too, and there is a map on the side, so I'm sure there's going to be some Metroidvania elements in it as well. So this game, just the art style alone just like got me. I was like, damn, this looks so cool. So I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Game Boy aesthetic. I really enjoyed Haiku, which kind of does that. Maybe a little bit more GBA than just GBC or Game Boy itself, but I love that retro, not just like sprite based, make it look like an NES or SNES, but specifically handheld sprites. I love it. I dig it.
Yeah, it's just like, it's such a striking look, and I feel like people have a nostalgia for it, and then they take their just like, modern knowledge and just make something that looks so unique. Like, I would just go look at a trailer for this. You will see what I'm saying. It's like you can see the inspiration. It wears it on its sleeve, but it's definitely its own art style too, which I don't know. It looks just really awesome. Like, looks really fun to control and play. There's like a dashing mechanic and like a wall jump and things like that. So definitely on my radar. You should check it out. It is called, this is a weird name, so I'm just going to say it again, Everdeep Aurora. So what is your second game that you brought here today? Chit chat about.
Yeah. So I think a game that a lot of people were excited for, from my understanding, is a little game called Cocoon. Did you see any of the gameplay for Cocoon?
Yeah, I think it looks really awesome. It has like a really interesting backstory. I think like it's like another team, right? Like another team made it from a different game series. I can't remember who made it. Is it the Limbo people? Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Honestly, I'm terrible at that. At like developers and publishers, I usually find that kind of stuff out when I play games. I don't follow as closely to that stuff. Keep that as close to the chest as some other people, but I don't know. I just really found this, like, at least what Cocoon is trying to do, I found it very interesting. It's like a weird perspective, small world inside of a big world, inside of a bigger world, inside of an even bigger world type of deal. And you can run your character around with like this marble shaped world and have to move it through the other world, but you can like jump into the world before deeper. It's very hard to explain without watching a trailer, so I highly advise everyone to go check it out if you haven't already. But it reminded me a little bit of Fez in a way, how you can go through a door in Fez and all of a sudden you're in a whole different place, right? And that's kind of that weird perspective dance that it does. So I found it very interesting.
Yeah, it reminded me kind of like Maquette. You've seen trailers for Maquette, right? Where you have like a figure that goes into like a tabletop world that's actually controlling the world outside of you that's bigger. It kind of has that thought where it's like playing with perspective. I think it has a really cool, unique like art style and like transition between each stage too. It's just like you could tell they spent a lot of time and they were super thoughtful and how they animated that. It looks really awesome. And yes, I was correct. It was the former Limbo and Inside developers played it. There's a couple people that made an offshoot company called Geometric Interactive, and that's who's working on this. So if you want to play a game behind some of the minds for those games, this is going to be something you should keep on your radar.
Awesome. What's the third game you brought to talk about today?
I brought a game called Hauntii with two I's. So it's Haunt, Hauntii. It's a top-down isometric game with kind of like I don't know how to describe this art style. How do you think what's the best way to describe this? It's like
creepy,
sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has like lots of geometric shapes and like unique look to it. And it just kind of looks cute, creepy, kind of like Tim Burton-esque, maybe something like that. You play a little ghost and you can possess things, kind of like Cappy and, Super Mario Odyssey, where you can possess like animals. And in here, you're mostly possessing inanimate objects. Say you need to light up lamps, you'll jump as the ghost into the lamps and light up the lamps to get through the area. And, rinse and repeat. Various items are going to do various different things, but this looks very fascinating. I just like the mechanic in and of itself because the developers are going to go wild with it and just keep on throwing new ideas at you. At least that's the idea I have from the trailers and the little gameplay they shared at Day of the Devs. I was like, yes, this is something that I'm definitely going to give it a try. Looks really cool.
Yeah, it almost reminds me a little bit of Undertale, but much more like stylized and detailed in the graphical style, but it still has like that very black and white look to it, right? But yeah, it sounds really cool. It looks really cool. I will be interested to check it out.
Yeah, and I was thinking like those two would be kind of cool to talk back to those two back to back because the art style kind of reminded me of each other, so that's why I put them next to each other on my list here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This next one, I'm so interested to hear what you have to say about it. We have a little list going. What's the next one you brought here?
The next game that I thought looked neat is Hyper Light Breaker, which is interesting because I actually have not played Hyper Light Drifter, but I think Steve brought Hyper Light Drifter to the quest log, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe someday when I do a revisit, I'll take on Hyper Light Drifter, probably hopefully before I play Hyper Light Breaker. But the thing is, I don't know if there's a story continuation or not between the two of them, but they seem to play I guess not very differently, but they look a whole lot different. Hyper Light Drifter, from what I can remember, is more of a top-down action game, whereas Hyper Light Breaker is like an over-the-shoulder, third-person hack and slash shooter. It almost reminded me of a really fast-paced looking Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild with some of the things that you're doing. It almost looks open worldy in certain ways, but I don't know that for sure. I didn't delve into it. I watched the trailer, right? So, but it looks really good. I mean, I'm sure it will be really good coming from that developer. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very stylized graphics. There's shooting. There's obviously cutting enemies up. So I'm very interested to see how that turns out.
Right. I was listening to a little bit of their little Vidoc thing they had, or VidDoc, however you say that. They were talking about how this game is literally, every time you play it, is a different world. Like, it's that randomly generated. It's
wow.
There's so many planets and so many things to experience. It's a roguelike in a 3D roguelike. Like, every time you play it, it's going to be a different game, pretty much. Like, different world, different chemicals in the environment will do something different for a weapon you picked up on a previous world and things like that. Like, it's all about crazy monsters and crazy, like, interactivity with these, like, awesomely just huge worlds with crazy random generation. They're basically like, this is our magnum opus, because they made Hyper Light Drifter, and then they made Solar Ash, which if you look at some gameplay for Solar Ash, it kind of looks a little bit like this game, but maybe a little bit less stylized, even though that game has a cool style.
Right.
But yeah, just like they're pretty much just going balls to the wall, I feel like, with their ideas with this one. So hopefully their early access, they're going to come out in early access, I think this year, or is it next year? Something like that.
I am not entirely sure. Solar Ash did not get as good of reception, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, people were like, it was good. It's like Hyper Light Drifter is like, this is a 10. Everybody loved it. And then like Solar Ash is like, this is like an 8. You know, it's pretty solid. It's a pretty fun game, you know. But I think that they were probably just learning the tech to make this game. You know what I mean? I feel like that's pretty much what happened there. Yeah.
I know the next game on the list is perhaps one of the ones that you were most excited for. So why don't you hit us with it?
Yeah, this game is called Helskate. HEL Skate. And Helskate is a skateboarding action roguelite. Grind, perform trips and chain combos to power up your attacks to slay the monsters of Vertheim. Basically, you are Tony Hawk Underground /4 style skateboarding around hell, beating up demons like Devil May Cry with combos and things. I think this is going to be pretty awesome. And it actually has a Tony Hawk Underground dev helping with the game. So you know it's going to have that Tony Hawk feel. So as soon as they were talking about this, I just had a huge grin on my face, and I didn't stop grinning until they stopped talking about it. Because it's just like, okay, this is a game I have to play day one.
Yeah, I mean, the art style is so unique and so cool. It's very interesting, and just like their gameplay, the gameplay style that they're going for is certainly something that I can't really remember having been done before. This is one of those mashups like we talked about earlier about Beastieball and how interesting that mashup is, but this might be even more interesting. It's just the craziest genres that they can put together now and just make a really cool and interesting game. So I'm excited for it too.
Yeah. But yeah, just put that on your wish list. If you're like missing Tony Hawk, I think that you're going to be, if you're not Trav, basically, put it on your wish list there. All right. So what game did you bring next?
So the next game I brought is actually one that I knew absolutely nothing about prior to seeing it over the past couple weeks, and that's called Saltsea Chronicles. Honestly, I brought it purely because I like the art style. I mean, I think it's like a story-driven adventure type game. I don't necessarily know that it's point and click, but it's 2D adventure. You're talking to, other player characters and or other NPCs, and just advancing the story. But I loved the art style because it really reminds me of like a classic picture book, but very rudimentary and basic. I don't know if you ever watched Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, but even more basic. But that construction paper cutout type of look, right? And all the characters kind of look like that. So I don't know. I dug it. I thought it looked really neat. So.
And the thing about this is, like, I just discovered that it's from a studio nobody's going to know about but me, I guess, because I played their first game or one of their games called Mutazione. That's literally how it's pronounced.
Yeah?
It's like Mutazione. I can never pronounce how it is, but I've never actually beat that game. And it's like one of those ones where I like look at it on my Steam Deck. Like, I should go back and bring that to IndieQuest and talk about it. Maybe I will, if you guys want to hear about that weird game. But it has a really unique and interesting art style, and it's like this developer is making another game, and wow, it's just like I just like putting two and two together in my head, I guess. I don't know, but it definitely looks really awesome.
Well, there you go, Josh. Maybe you'll play it and bring it to the quest log before me. So I'd maybe
Never
just
know.
introduced you to a future love. But what's your final big mention that you wanted to talk about?
This one's cool. It's called Lysfanga, the Time Shift Warrior. So it's a top-down game. Think like it reminded me a lot. I'd say quite a bit of Hades. Maybe a little bit less hand-drawn, but a little more 3D looking in the environments. But it has that you talk to characters and their portrait comes up and you're talking to them and things. It really feels like they're inspired by Hades. I'll say that first. And then secondly, there's this mechanic in the game where when you die, you make a clone of yourself. So basically the goal is to fight all the mobs in a room by cloning yourself a bunch of times and solving puzzles and killing guys. And it's really fascinating. It's kind of hard to describe. So let's say like there's like 3 levers. This is just for example. You'll flick a lever, rewind time, flick another lever, rewind time, and then flick the final lever, and you're all 3 of your clone, quote-unquote, time versions of yourself will do all 3 levers to get through a door. That would be like an example of something you do in this game. So, to me, that mechanic really, like, I'm a sucker for time mechanics, like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. I love stuff like that, where it's just like playing tricks with your mind to try to figure out how to do puzzles in combat scenarios. So definitely something on my radar.
That being able to split out and use the same character and like clones of yourself to solve puzzles reminds me a lot of The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventure, which is probably one of the Zeldas that people attempt to forget because it wasn't quite as good as the other ones, but there's a lot of mechanics in that game where you have to use all 4 of your characters when you're playing single player and solve puzzles. So sounds interesting.
Yeah, it just looked really cool. I was like, damn. I think it has an awesome style, and I just love the mechanics of it. So speaking of awesome mechanics, let's talk about your last game here.
Yeah, so I saved the most me game for last for sure, and that is Wizard with a Gun.
Yep.
Published by Devolver. It is very much... It almost is like a weird bullet hell mixed with Diablo-style game. It's a roguelite, and it's also a co-op roguelite, so just very interesting in that way. But the gameplay itself, from what I could see, I mean, there is some shooting and things like that, but maybe it's the art style too. But it really reminds me of Bastion. Like, it kind of has that segmented world, very colorful, but I'm almost like edgy art style, kind of like Bastion has. It's loot based. See, there's world building where you can actually like build your bases up. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's got the online co-op, and kind of Diablo-esque in a way from what I could see of, how you're defeating enemies and moving on to different hordes of enemies that are coming at you. So I am super interested in it. And the trailer, at least the trailer I saw, was super cool with like, what they invested in actually doing like the cartoon segments of it, right? And like jumping towards this gate and there's a big eye and I don't know. It looked super cool. So
Yeah, it's the don't starve together people making it, I think, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. But honestly, if not, it looks a lot like those games, and I think this would be such a fun couch co-op game. I was looking at it just now, like, damn, this would be like, I could see just getting super into this. So definitely one I wish list. I'm wish listing right now. I'm surprised I already didn't have it on my wish list, but you know how it is.
Yeah, there's after these last couple of weeks, there's so many things to wish list. So
yeah, it's like I just like that list is just ever growing.
Yeah,
and then I have notifications on my phone, so it's like when the game comes out, it's gonna notify me, and I'll be like, "What is Saltsea Chronicles? What is this game?" You know what I mean? And I'd like click in. Oh, it's the one we talked about. That's just how I remember to play games, because there's just so much coming out. But
absolutely, for sure.
But I did have a couple like just honorable mentions. I just want to just throw them out there. If you have any comments, feel free to interject. But I just wanted to shout these games out because these are little ones that I don't have too much to say, or they're already out or about to be out. So I figured, just to put them on people's radars. First off is Baby Steps. And this one is weird. It's by the Ape Out developer and the guy who did Get Over It with Bennett Foddy. And it's basically you play a baby man-child where you have to control his legs. And it's very British humor and ridiculous. Like QWOP or like Octodad or Surgeon Simulator, where it's like really hard to control, and that's like the main conceit of the game. It's just funny because it's hard to control, that type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty much that, but add a like huge thick layer of British humor to it. So I think that watch the trailer, you're gonna just like roll your eyes, or you're gonna be like, wow, this looks ridiculous. But it really set the tone. I was like, I think one day I'm gonna just try this out, at least just to get a couple chuckles. I don't know if I'll beat it because it looks really freaking hard, because using like every single button to just move one leg is never a fun mechanic, but
right.
Maybe it is. Maybe they can make it fun. But anyway, another one I saw, and they've been actually talking about this at the Game Awards and like Jeff Keighley stuff for like years, since like 2015 or something. It's called Witchfire, and it's about to come out on early access. It just looks like a badass first-person shooter with magic and really kind of gothic setting, and it just looks really cool. It has kind of like a westerny, gothic-y, like fire, like kind of a mashup of genres, I guess. And I just think it just has an awesome look to it. So that one's on my radar for a long time. And Fall of Porcupine is another one, and it's very much inspired by Night in the Woods. It definitely is. You play as like a pigeon, and you talk to your friends in town. You're doing like platforming, and it looks like it has a really cute and charming story. And last but not least is Viewfinder. I think people know what this one is. That's why I didn't bring it as one of the main ones. But basically, it's a game where you take like Polaroid pictures and you can put them in the environment, and they become the environment. That's the best way to describe it, and that's how you solve puzzles. And it's kind of like Superliminal in the fact like you see a bridge, and then you see like a picture of a bridge, or like an empty bridge with holes, and you see like a chunk of picture of a bridge, and then you like put it in the environment, and it just works. And it's such a cool looking game. So any of those stand out to you, of those little ones I'm just throwing at you here?
Yeah, I mean, as with many people probably, I've at least seen stuff on Viewfinder, and it looks very interesting. I love games that can kind of try to do their own twist on the Portal stuff. So I'm super into that type of game, as well as Superliminal, even though I haven't played it yet. So hopefully we'll check that out in the future.
Yeah, Viewfinder's like, I think, a month out. Like, it just kind of snuck up on us. So it's like, I would say if you're into like Superliminal, Portal, any of those, any chamber, whatever, check it out. It's going to be definitely up your alley. So we did actually get a couple of your submissions for this. So do you want to take it away with the tweet we received here?
Yeah. So first tweet or message that we got was from Chad Garvin at Sir Chadley OC, and he mentioned Defender's Quest 2. Says he fell in love with the first game, which combined tower defense with an RPG style story and an interesting party that levels up and acquires better gear. I've been waiting for this game for a decade. It looks super cool. It's like the 2D top-down art style. I am not personally... I do like tower defense games, but every time I end up playing one for a little bit, I end up getting super sucked into it and don't want to play anything else, and I've already got Gungeon for that. But I will say, Sir Chadley, that this game looks super cool, and put it on my radar. I actually hadn't even heard of this game up until reading this tweet, so, and looking into it a little bit before the show. So definitely a very cool looking game.
Yeah, I think that everybody loves Kingdom Rush, right? That's the one I'll think about when I think tower defense. It's just one of those things that just I don't think about the genre very often, but when one sucks me in, it really does, and this actually looks really fun. So I actually wish it listed this one just now. So I'm going to check it out for sure. Also, our friend Guido sent a bunch of game recommendations, like I think 10, something like that. So I decided to just pick one that I wanted to chit chat about, and I thought that you guys should know about here. If you want to check out Guido, he has a podcast too. It's called New Game Old Flame, where they talk about new games from old consoles. I really enjoy the podcast. It's one of those ones where I like bank up a few episodes and listen to them like in a good session. So I think that's a solid show. They do like awesome episode artworks for each episode and things like that. I just figured I'd give him a shout out real quick. But yeah, the game he sent that I wanted to talk about was a sequel-ish to a game that I brought before called Exo 1, and it's called Exo Rally, and basically it's taking kind of the Exo 1 engine and putting rally cars in it and racing. So it definitely looks really wild.
Yeah, it's super stylized. Everything's super shiny. It's just amazing that indie games in 2023 can look that good. It looks AAA, so.
Yeah. Well, I think that we gave them, I'm just going to go over every game. I'm just going to list them out really fast here. Let's do it. Beastieball, Cocoon, Hyperlight Breaker, Saltsea Chronicles, Wizard with a Gun, Kibu, Everdeep Aurora, Hauntii, Helskate, Lysfanga the Time Warrior, Baby Steps, Witchfire, Fall of Porcupine, Viewfinder, Defender's Quest 2, and Exo Rally. If there's not a game in all of those games that interests you, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, for sure. There's something that tickles everyone's fancy in there, I think, for sure.
All right, so I think we have a really fun second segment here that we can jump into. But before that, let's listen to one of our friends promote something freaking awesome.
Video games are great, aren't they? They bring us joy, they make us feel emotions, they remind us of our humanity, and in those ways, they change lives. I'm Caleb J. Ross, co-host of the Tales of the Lesser Medium podcast and author of the new book, Suddenly I Was a Shark, My Time with What Remains of Edith Finch. Suddenly I Was a Shark, My Time with What Remains of Edith Finch is an in-depth examination of my favorite video game of all time, What Remains of Edith Finch. It's got some developer interviews, personal anecdotes, and a few structurally intentional dabs of humor goo to stick it all together. Right now, you can buy my book, my 7th book, by the way, which is crazy to think about, but I think my best book, Suddenly I Was a Shark, My Time with What Remains of Edith Finch, at Amazon.com for a print version, or Kobo, Barnes & Noble, or Amazon for ebook versions. And if you, like me, love signed books, you can even buy a signed copy of Suddenly I Was a Shark, My Time with What Remains of Edith Finch by going to calebjross.com/signed. That's my website, calebjross.com/signed. Signed as in signed book. It makes sense. You get it. Now, back to the show.
All right, everyone. Well, we're going to actually do a new IndieQuest segment at the end of this episode. We often like to do trivia type games and just different games where we try to test each other's indie metal, I guess. And we're going to do that again. So, this segment is going to be called Indie Questions. Indie Questions. Indie Questions. You get it. So, it's basically our indie game variation on 20 questions. So, Josh, I have a list of games here, and you're going to ask me questions until, 20 of them. I'll keep a tally, and then hopefully before 20, or at least at 20, you can guess the indie game. I will say, for our first time out, I picked some rather easy indie games. You should know most of these fairly easily, so you're not going to have to dig deep into the memory banks on any of these ones. So, I think this will also be fun for everyone listening, right? It's always fun to do this type of stuff with the listener because they can kind of piece it together too based off your questions. So, all right. Game number 1. Start asking.
Okay, there's one thing. There's no parameters. I can ask any question, right? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean,
okay.
I guess we'll see as we start going, but 20 questions is 20 questions. You just have to ask a yes or no question. It's always got to be yes or no. That's it.
Okay. That's answers everything I needed from you. All right, so first off, is it a platformer?
No.
Is it a game that you have brought to the quest log?
No. That's a good question.
Is it an isometric game?
Yes. Yes, I guess so. Yeah, yes.
Guess so. Okay. Is it a roguelike?
Yes.
That's
4 questions so far.
Is this conceit of the story you trying to get out of the underworld?
Wow. If you're going to ask that, why wouldn't you just be like, is it... Anyway, yes.
Is your main character Zagreus?
Wow, okay. Yeah,
it's Hades.
it is Hades. And honestly, you got it in 5 questions, but really you got it in 4 because to get out of the underworld, yeah. So yes, Hades. Correct.
Nice.
Good job, Josh. See? That was not too bad. We might get maybe, I don't know, slightly more difficult as we go, but good question so far. I like the quest log question. That's a good one. So,
thanks.
All right, next game. Start asking.
Okay, let's see. Is it a narrative video game?
That is about the worst question you could possibly ask for this game. I'm going to have to give you a little bit more. It's very hard to answer just yes or no for that.
Okay.
I will say
no, I will. I can put some parameters. You want me to do that? Is the central conceit of the game to get through a narrative?
No.
Okay. That'll make it easier because that's a little that's so broad, right? Every game might have a narrative, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil it. So anyway,
okay,
go on.
Okay. Is this game a walking simulator?
No.
Okay. Is this game in first person?
No.
Okay. Is this game a platformer?
Yes.
Okay. Would you consider it similar in scope to like Super Meat Boy or Celeste, where you die in repeat rooms?
Yes.
Is it Celeste?
Yes. You're like, would you consider it similar to Celeste? Yes, I would consider it similar to Celeste. Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll do the next one. Let's see. I'm into this. I got that one. Like 5 questions, and some of them are just out there. I feel like
yeah, 5 questions each now. Honestly, I think for the future, what we should do. This is just me talking mid-show here. Mm-hmm. We should each bring 3 or whatever. If Steve comes back, we all bring 3, and then we can do it with each other, right? Rather than me just asking you over and over and over again. But
I can probably come up with one for you in a minute here. But let's try. How many do you have for me? 5?
I have 3 more. Yep, 3 more.
3 more? Okay. Let's see. Is this game challenging?
I would say that I'm gonna have to elaborate a little bit. I would say that most people consider it fairly challenging. I know that's terrible, but
No, you're good. Is this game Binding of Isaac?
no.
All right. I just had to throw away a question. Is this game pixelated?
Yes.
Okay. Do you wear a fez in the game?
No.
Okay. Is it a game on the quest log?
I think so. I'm almost positive it is. Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. Is it 2D? Like, is it a side scroller?
Yes.
Okay. Pixelated side scroller. Is it a roguelite?
No.
Okay. Is it a Metroid, or is it a gated exploration game? I almost said Metroidvania, the devil's word.
Surprisingly, no.
Okay. Huh, what game could this one be? It's a lot of games you just knocked out by those two questions.
I know.
Let's see. Is this game... Does this game have... What kind of... Oh, I can't ask you, like, what kind of something. Does this game have, like, techno music in it?
Yeah, I'd say so, yes.
Is it Katana Zero?
No.
Damn it. Because
I would say it's not as... Yeah, I would say it's not as techno-y as Katana Zero.
You did hesitate. Like, oh, I think it's on the quest log. Because, like, you put... If it was Katana Zero, you'd have been like, yeah, it is. Yeah, because you replayed it for a second opinion. So, let's see. Sorry. What number am I at? Like, how many questions am I in?
That's 10, and I'm telling you that this game... This might be the most popular game that we've talked about yet.
Oh,
there's a little hint for you.
I know what it is. It's Shovel Knight.
It is Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I brought that.
I should have let you keep going. Yeah. I should have let you keep going, but then I'm realizing as you're asking the questions, I'm like, man, I would probably suck at this. I'm
circling the drain on that one for sure. All right, next one. Let's do this. Is it a crafting game?
No. I'll be honest with this one. I've never played this game, so
okay.
But it isn't a crafting. I don't think there's crafting in it.
Okay.
That's probably a big hint that I said. Well, I've never played a lot of games, so it certainly isn't a game that I brought to the quest log. But yeah.
Okay. Is it on the quest log?
It is on the quest log.
Okay. Is it a 2D game?
Yes.
Okay. I keep wanting to say Dead Cells. I know that's not on the quest log, but I know it's I don't think it's Dead Cells.
It's not Dead Cells. There's your fourth question.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know why I keep thinking that game. That game just keeps popping into my head. Let's see. Is the game like a hack and slash game?
No, it isn't.
Okay. Is it a roguelite?
Nope.
Gated exploration?
Nope.
So it's just a platformer.
Is it?
Oh, you just said 2D. Yeah, that's true. Is it a platformer?
No.
Damn. Okay. Getting more challenging. Oh. Is it Titan Souls?
It is not Titan Souls. I've never played this game. So.
Oh, you said you never played this game. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You actually enjoyed that game, right?
Yeah. I think that I don't want to give it away. Anyway.
I know. If I lose, I lose. You know, that's the game.
You got another 11 questions. You're
I have 11 questions. Okay. Is the gameplay? Is it just okay? I already asked if it's a platformer. So, Is it similar? It's not a. You said it's not a Metroidvania, right? Like at all?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Not gate exploration.
Okay. And you said it's not a platformer, or it was?
It's not.
It's not. Okay. Is it? And it's a game you haven't played.
It's a game I haven't played, but you should just. Why don't you just ask me? I don't think you've asked me if it's on the quest log yet.
Is it on the quest log?
It is.
Okay.
Maybe you did ask me that, but it is. I will reiterate that it is on the quest log either way.
It is. I'm trying not to pull up the quest log. I'm trying to like do this like,
blind
off the top of the dome.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I wouldn't be surprised if you forgot that this game was on the quest log, but I already gave the hint at the very beginning that all these are very popular games.
Okay. Popular game.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's coming to mind at all. Is the art style bright and cheery?
No. I would say no. That should give you a decent hint, I would say.
Okay. I'm gonna find out what this is. I'm gonna be pissed that I didn't.
Yeah, you are. But we have 9 more questions. I'm glad. I wanted you to be stumped by something. You can't get everything in 5 questions.
That's true. Is it a game that I brought to the quest log?
It is a game that you brought to the quest log. Yes.
There's a lot.
There are,
Yeah.
but at least that narrows it down. You played it.
2D game that I played.
That is
not
a platformer.
Bright and Cherry. That's not a platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is screaming at their headphones right there, and they know what it is.
Yeah.
Josh, how do you not know this?
Vyar. Yeah, Vyar is probably staring at the quest log right now like, oh, this is obviously blank.
Yeah. And that's probably a game I forgot I even played, knowing me.
Yeah. Very popular.
Very popular. Like super popular. Like the most popular.
Yeah, it is.
2D game. Not a platformer.
I think you're really, I'm just going to mention this. I think you're really focused in on a 2D game being a certain kind of game, and you need to
expand.
Drop. Yeah. It's because you're stuck on the platforming thing, and I'm telling you, it's really not a platformer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I am.
Yeah, I would too. You get blinders on.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think of what games I brought to the quest log. I'm literally blanking. I don't remember a single game I brought to the quest log right now.
I can give you a hint.
No. Is it an action game?
No.
So it's a narrative-driven game.
I would say it's narrative-driven, but it's not necessarily like that. I'm not going to mention anymore.
So it has a lot of narrative elements to it. There you go.
Yes, I would
leave it
say
at that.
so.
I don't want to bring it up to quest log. I can't cheat. I can't do that.
It's not cheating.
I don't think it's cheating. It kind of is. How many do I have left?
7.
7 left. Okay, I'll do it. I'll look at the quest log when I have like 2 questions left.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Or maybe I won it all. We'll just go blind completely. All right. Is there dialogue in the game? Like, do people talk? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Is it damn. What would it be? Why am I not thinking this? This sucks.
I mean,
I know what it is. I know what it is. It's super popular. Is it Undertale?
Yes.
Okay. Damn. I don't know why it did not come to me for so long. All right. Awesome. I know people were screaming out their like right when I said is it a platformer and you said no it's not. People are like, oh, it's Undertale.
Yeah. Like what other 2D games are? Yeah. I mean, there are plenty, obviously, right? Like you didn't play it, but I brought Bear's Rest. Like there's plenty of stuff, but I didn't want you to get like locked in on because when you think 2D indie, and my mind does it too, you automatically go to like one place, like
it's like Dead Cells, Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So you have a couple more for me. Let's see.
I got one more game.
One more game. All right. Is this game side scroller?
Yes.
Is it action oriented?
Yes.
Okay. Is it pixelated?
I would say no.
No. Okay. Is it on the quest log?
No.
Okay. Is it a game? Is it a Captain Drachma game? Like, what is it?
Yes.
Is it a game up your alley? Okay.
Yes.
Would you say this game is as popular as Undertale?
At least. No, I would say at least. At bare minimum, it's as popular as Undertale.
Okay. Is it Hollow Knight?
It is.
Okay. You said again.
Good
I was
job.
thinking. Yeah, I was thinking like I know Hollow Knight is so popular.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was... I mean, when I said Shovel Knight might be the most popular, that's probably a matter of opinion, but every game that I was talking about is extremely... I mean, probably the least popular is either Celeste or Undertale, probably, right? So,
Right. Okay.
So.
I like that game. It's a great idea. I think that for us, like later on when we're all three here and we each bring 3, we can like stump each other. It's like, it's a game you brought. Come on. You can figure this out, you know? So that'll be fun. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for putting that together.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It literally took nothing. I just thought of 5 good games.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah, it was fun.
All right. Awesome. I think that's going to wrap us for the episode. No indie picks this time. I know. Who was saying in the Discord, it's like, stop bringing indie games. Was that VR? Like, oh my God. Somebody was. I forgot who it was. But.
Vyar just said stop putting everything on the main quest and then got annoyed that Burger brought Chained Echoes because it's so long and like guys like Vyar trying to beat every game on the main quest and you bring a Chained Echoes and all of a sudden you're up 30 to 50 hours on the main quest of stuff you have to beat. So.
Well, to your happiness, Fire, just for you, we brought an episode with no picks.
Yeah, just stuff to check out. Yep, absolutely.
Yep. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for our little Summer Game Fest wrap-up / brand new little trivia game. How about some plugs for you guys? Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at Captain Drachma on Twitter and, of course, in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. Where can they find you, Josh? And where can they find IndieQuest?
They can find me at Frantic Society on Twitter. I'm also in that lovely Polymedia Discord. You can find IndieQuest at IndieQuestPod on Twitter, or you can send us emails, questions, comments, concerns. If you send them, we will likely read them. IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. And we're a part of the wonderful, speaking of, Polymedia Network. Why don't you throw out a show that people should check out from the network?
Everyone should go check out Split Up. It's the newest podcast on the network, and they talk about all things horror movies. It's got our buddies Dylan and Mook on it. Everyone should go check that out, especially if you're a big horror fan. They have awesome conversations. So,
yeah, and I think you should check out Point and Drink Adventure with PD and Pam. You are going to have a good time listening to them talk about movies and games and things that they're having fun with, and they have a really good conversation there. I think you're going to enjoy that show if you like, I guess, just nerdy podcasts. You like people talking about things that they're doing and having fun with. So go check that out, Point and Drink Adventure. And if there's any other shows on the network that you would like, if you like this show or like any of those shows, you're probably going to enjoy the network at polymedianetwork.com. I kind of ran out of breath there.
Also, check us out on Reddit at r/Polymedia and use it like a YouTube comment section. I try to post the IndieQuest up on there basically as soon as it drops, so come chat with us on there too.
Yeah, you kind of took that initiative. I was like, yeah, I'll do it, and then I always forget about the Reddit, so I feel bad about that. I should check that more often.
Well, Briz shames me, so and Briz is getting all big and tough now, and I don't want him to beat me up, so I just post there.
That's a definite thing to be afraid of. You don't want to get behind those Skyrim hands, you know? Like, he just gets so buff. His hands are so strong from playing all those fucking thousands of hours of Skyrim. Anyway. I think that's going to do it for our show. I guess it's time for you to throw out some nice, awesome words for our listeners to close it out.
Everyone should check out the last couple weeks of stuff from the Summer Games Fest. I think, like, if there's, like, we brought literally barely a handful of games compared to the massive amount of games that came out. So everyone should go check that out. And if there was something that we missed, shoot us an email. Shoot us something on the Reddit page. Shoot us something in Discord so we can check it out and hopefully bring it to the quest log at a later date.
Also, I didn't mention it. It's Steam Next Fest. So a lot of these games have demos on Steam right now for the next week or so. So if you heard one of these games, most of these games will likely have a demo on Steam. So if you hear one of these and try out the demo and like it, give us a shout over there. And thanks for listening.
See you, everybody.
Bye.